First of all, can you please introduce yourself and your role in PIFs?
My name is Finau Soqo. I'm the General Manager for the Pacific Resilience Facility.
Tell us a little bit about the Pacific Resilience Facility.
The PRF is the first Pacific-led, owned and managed regional climate financing facility for communities. At the moment, it's transitioning under the Pacific Islands Forum Secretariat. It's a Pacific leader-led climate financing initiative, and we're here at the COP29 in Azerbaijan to basically elevate the global profile of the PRF and also advocate for funding for the PRF's capitalization in order to start granting to Pacific communities who are at the very front line of climate change.
So this COP29 this year has been dubbed like the finance COP, and it's definitely linked to like financing in terms of adaptation, mitigation, or any sort of the thematic areas. How does that? How important is this COP for you guys?
It's a critical COP because the PRF is mentioned in the COP28 text for the very first time. So this is a critical milestone, and we just want to thank all the climate negotiators who are negotiating on behalf of the Pacific and for the PRF. So COP29 will be about advancing what we've achieved in COP28, given that the $100 billion climate goal ends at the end of December 2024, and negotiations are now underway for the new collective quantified goals. So it is important to ensure that the PRF is featured in those goals in some shape or form in terms of the climate financing volume and also the duration of that financing. If we can access financing sustainably for the PRF over the next few years, it will mean that we can ensure that the PRF meets its capitalization target of USD $500 million by 1st of January 2026. Pledges to the PRF to date are about 115 million, and that has come from Saudi Arabia, China, the United Kingdom, United States, New Zealand, including the government of Nauru, and it's a fantastic testimony of Pacific ownership in the PRF as well. And one of the most important things that we're focused on now is how do we achieve the 100 million that we need in order to get to the first 250 million. Next year, then we'll fundraise the next 250 million in order to reach the $500 million goal.
So, I mean, I guess with all of this big money, big dollars that's been, discussed, or pledges and all that, I think for a person who doesn't understand what PRF stands for, what does it mean to them? How does this actually translate to the community? What is the purpose of the PRF? So why was it created?
The PRF was really created for community resilience. Small projects that communities need that are often underserved by bigger global climate finance funds. One of the most special things about the PRF is that it's ours. It belongs to the Pacific. It's co-designed by the Pacific. All 18 members of the Pacific Island Forum are engaged in the formulation of how we're going to establish it. We are going to establish it in 2025. And what does it mean for communities? It means that once we receive the pledges, we'll invest the pledges, and from the income that we make, we will then distribute that to communities in all the member countries so that we can build resilience. If it's a seawall that communities need, or they need to strengthen the roof of the community hall that will be the evacuation center in the event of a disaster. If there's a need for any kind of adaptation that's needed by communities, that's really what the PRF is there for. And it's really right across the Pacific. We're going to try and demonstrate how important the PRF is and how much impact that it can have for Pacific communities, both not only in low-lying atoll countries, but also in the larger countries where remote communities are also affected by climate change in different kinds of ways, like soil erosion for communities that are living beside rivers. Is the same situation that we're having with communities that are living just on the shoreline where there is coastal inundation. So because the Pacific is broad, I mean, we're very diverse, it's important that we tailor our climate financing solutions to the needs of the communities that we serve, and that's what's special about the PRF, right? That it's for us, by us, and it's owned by the Pacific, and so that's something that's very special about it.
So for this COP, what do you want from the global leaders for this COP?
Yeah, that's a great question. What I'd like from the global leaders for this COP is to acknowledge that 1.5 degrees to stay alive is real for the Pacific. The warmer it gets, the more existential it gets for us. And therefore, the need for the PRF will become even more important. So the initial capitalization target for the PRF is 500 million. We've raised 150 million so far. We're looking to raise another 350 million by 1st of January 2026. What I'd really like from this call for the PRF is the acknowledgement that this 500 million is not enough. Pacific leaders have called for a $1.5 billion long-term target for a 1.5 degree world. And even that's not enough. There was a UN study that was done that costed coastal adaptation needs alone at about $230 million a year. Now, in order for the PRF to generate that kind of revenue, it would have to be a $4 billion fund. So what I'd like from the global leaders is to ensure that the financing allocation to the Pacific and small island states is meaningful enough for it to actually make a dent on resilience. And for the PRF, what we're looking for is a 1.5 billion long-term target and an immediate focus on the 500 million that we need to raise by the 1st of January 2026.